Hey guys, I've been reviewing slim keyboards lately and it seems like it won't be stopping soon, as we'll take a look today at the Havit KB395L alongside the mouse they sent over, which is the MS760. So without waiting any further, let's check these out. So these two items came in black and red boxes. The keyboards box was quite damaged. I guess I'll have to blame Canada Post for that. But I think the box could be a bit thicker and that would help to protect it in the mail. Fortunately, there is a cardboard insert in the box to protect the keyboard, so it wasn't damaged or anything. The mouse's packaging seems sturdy enough though. In the keyboards box, you will find the keyboard itself alongside a USB cable. Unfortunately, it's a micro USB cable and not Type-C. And in the mouse's box, you will find the mouse itself with replacement side wings. So for the next part, we'll look at the keyboard and then we'll go over the mouse. So first, this keyboard is not new. In fact, it's been out since late 2017. I just thought it would be nice to take a look at it, as the slim mechanical keyboard market has been growing more and more. As you can see, this keyboard has a full-size 104 key layout. On top, you will find a nice brushed aluminum plate. And if we take a look at the sides, this keyboard is definitely slim. And that is achieved thanks to low-profile switches and keycaps. At the back, you get a micro USB port, so at least you get a detachable cable, but Type-C would have been appreciated. And finally, under it, you do get flip-out feet, so that's great since low-profile keyboards tend to have a pretty flat angle, so that gives you more options. Now, taking a look at the keycaps, these are ABS with laser-etched legends. Again, these are not the best, but it's pretty common on big brand keyboards. You can expect these to show dirt easily, and they will shine and potentially fade over time. The layout is not exactly ANSI standard, although it's really close. The main difference is the left control key that's a bit wider than the other bottom row keys. But even if it was standard, there's barely any third-party keycap sets for low-profile switches available, so you'd be stuck with these anyway. Also, these use a special variant of the KB395L low-profile switches, and the keycap stem is different than the other switches from the same line. I do like their profile though. While keeping them pretty thin, they still manage to have a concave surface, and it does help a bit to know where your fingers are on the keyboard, especially when gaming. Compared against the Drevo Joyous V2's keycaps, which are completely flat, I hit the keys I wanted more often with these keycaps. So this keyboard comes equipped with KB395L blues. These are a bit different than the white, red, or brown variants of KB low-profile switches. They have a 3mm total travel distance, actuating halfway, and the actuation force is 50 grams, while bottoming them out would require 60 grams. I'm not a particular fan of clicky switches, but the audible click is a lot less light than normal blue switches, so I do like these switches. However, if you like loud clicks, these might not be for you. The tactile bump is really mild too. In fact, they feel a lot like low-profile whites, the main difference being that they're slightly louder and they click both downward and upward. The mechanism is quite different too. With the white switch, the sound is produced by the metal pin that creates the contact, while the blue switch has a dedicated click bar, like you see in KB box white and pale blue switches. Quite interesting. The stabilizers are different than what you get with full-size switches, and the switch housings are a bit different where there is a stabilizer to support the added metal rod. That's quite unusual. They do feel pretty good. They wobble a tad bit because of the way they're designed, but I would argue that they feel pretty good when typing. The keys go down straight even when hit from the sides and are really reliable. Also, I feel like with low-profile switches, stabilizers don't need to be amazing to still give a decent typing experience. You also get RGB LEDs with this keyboard, and while you can control the effects on board, you get more controls using the provided software. You'll be able to set the speed of the animation, the brightness, as well as pick the animation you want or simply go with a key-by-key configuration. I am pleased with the quantity of effects, however the LEDs don't shine very bright, but again, a black plate doesn't help either. Speaking of the software, you'll be able to control the LEDs in there, but you'll also be able to set the win lock and game mode on. Not sure what the game mode is though. You can also record macros and remap any key that you want, so that's pretty neat and quite advanced for a full-size keyboard. Please note that most of the basic light controls are accessible using the function key and the function row if you don't want to use the software. Now, how does it feel to type on this keyboard? I would say the typing experience is pretty good. For gaming, I wouldn't necessarily go with clicky switches, more a tactile or a linear switch, but for a low-profile keyboard, I think it felt great. And having keycaps with a concave surface makes a pretty good difference for gaming too. Having said that, the clicky sound is pretty quiet compared to regular blue switches, and I like that. Now, taking a look at the mouse, it looks pretty standard for a gaming mouse. On top, you have the scroll wheel and the DPI switch buttons. Both the logo on the palm and the scroll wheel have LEDs in them, and the color will tell the current DPI setting. At the bottom, there are RGB LEDs, and these can be controlled, although it won't affect the lights on the palm and scroll wheel. So it can look a bit weird if you have it going pretty crazy on the animations, while the palm stayed one color and breathing. There is a total of 6 LEDs and they're individually addressable. You can also pick between a variety of animations and set the speed. Now, this mouse has a 12,000 DPI sensor, but I don't think a lot of people set it that high. I went with 4800 with really low in-game sensitivity and it felt alright, but I think a lot of people will still feel like this is too sensitive, and the exact sensor model is unknown. The side wings are replaceable, and this is where I had a pretty big issue. These are held using magnets, but on both sides, one or two of the magnets stick to the wing instead of staying in the mouse. I guess the glue they use is not strong enough, or the magnets are just too strong, and since it happened on both sides, I feel like this is a real issue and not only a defect on my unit. It still held somewhat fine even on the side with no magnets left, but it's clearly a problem and I fear it might barely hold over time. A temporary fix would be to glue the magnets in again and to not replace the side wings anymore after that, but it's a bummer honestly. The left wing can either be set with 3 buttons for back, forward, and fire, or with a 9-button configuration. I feel like the 9-button wing is a bit weirdly shaped and you can't really hold the mouse without gripping on the buttons, so you kind of hit them by accident while gaming whenever you want to lift the mouse off the mat. But maybe it's me too. I know a few mice on the market have a similar shape, so it's maybe just a matter of your type of grip as well. The right wing has no button, but you can replace it to change the shape of the mouse, which is great depending on the type of grip you prefer. And the sensor felt super precise when I used it for gaming, on par with my high-end Logitech mouse, but again, I don't game really often, so I might just not be able to tell the difference if there is any. All in all, the sensor tracked my movements quite precisely on a cloth surface. All of the customization is done through the software and it's quite complete, as you can set the lighting mode, the DPI settings down to 100 increments, and you can assign a huge variety of controls to each button. All in all, it seems to work great and I've had no problem using it. And even when you unplug the mouse and replug it, it seems to keep its settings, so that's great too. So now let's end the video with the pros and cons for these two peripherals. For the keyboard, I think it's a great implementation of low profile switches. The level of customization is pretty good and the included software is great. I would like to see a new version with the red, white or brown low profile switches and new standard stabilizers alongside a USB Type-C cable. If it came with double shot keycaps and a perfect NC layout, that would be great. As for the mouse, I do hope that the defects on mine were exceptional. It's a bit unfortunate that both side wings had magnets popping out. While you can glue them back together, it's not really normal, especially for a brand new product, and it got me worried about the longevity of the product. The design is nice overall, the RGB lighting looks great, and the swappable side grips are a nice feature. My last gripe would be that my hand kind of grips over the buttons on the 9-button wing when I hold the mouse, so they're a bit easy to trigger by accident. But when using the other wing with only 3 buttons, it felt much better and accidentally pressing buttons was no longer an issue. And it was quite a pleasant mouse to use then. So that wraps it up for today's video. Let me know down below what you think about this mouse and keyboard. Would you consider getting either one of them? As always, I'll have affiliate links down below, so feel free to use them to help the channel at the same time. And thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video if you did. If you didn't, just let me know why down below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe if you still haven't already, as I'll see you in the next video.